My wife texted me on Monday morning, "Spending the week at Dad's. He's not feeling well." I responded, "Send him my best." 4 days later, divorce papers were delivered to the Seabright Couples Retreat, Bungalow 23. Her caretaking turned into 39 hysterical calls before I blocked her number. Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe, hit the hype button, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? I manage disasters for a living. Construction delays, budget overruns, foundation cracks that could sink a building. My job is identifying problems before they become catastrophes. I spend 40 hours a week reviewing blueprints, checking load calculations, and ensuring contractors don't cut corners that could put someone in serious danger years later. Risk assessment is what I do. Turns out I married a disaster and didn't see it coming until the foundation was already cracked. The courier confirmed delivery at 2:47 p.m. Thursday. Signature, M. Anderson. Location, Seabright Couples Retreat, Gulf Coast, Florida. I pulled up our credit card statement on my laptop in the kitchen, the same kitchen where she'd kissed me goodbye 5 days earlier. 2 charges from Seabright, one for the room, $470, one for champagne service, $120, premium bottle. Her father lives in Nebraska, has lived there for 30 years. The resort is in Florida, 1,200 miles away. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, clicking through the evidence like reviewing blueprints for a building inspection. Everything measured, everything documented. Melissa's Instagram showed a coffee cup tagged with Dad's Kitchen on Tuesday morning. The geotag said Panama City Beach. She'd forgotten to turn it off. Sloppy work. The kind of mistake that gets a project shut down. Her Uber account was still linked to my email. She never bothered changing it after we got married. I scrolled through the trip history. Pick up from our house to the Seabright Couples Retreat on Sunday night at 6:47 p.m. $42 fare. Return trip. None scheduled. She wasn't planning on coming back anytime soon. I logged into our airline miles account. We'd been pooling points for 5 years, saving up for Japan. Never made it. 2 tickets to Gulf Coast Regional Airport, departing Sunday afternoon. Hers under Anderson, the second under Pike, Andrew Pike. First officer, commercial pilot. Flew the same routes Melissa claimed to visit her college friend on 3 months ago. And 2 months before that. I'd met him once at our company barbecue last summer. Tall, pilot's tan, that effortless smile people trust when they're 30,000 feet up and he's the one flying. He'd talked about his Ducati motorcycle for 20 minutes, while Melissa laughed at every joke. I should have seen it then. But you don't see these things when you're looking at your wife and thinking about mortgage payments and vacation planning. I booked Bungalow 24 for Thursday night. Corporate retreat, I told the clerk on the phone. Just need some quiet time to work on a project proposal. She said that'd be fine, very peaceful this time of year. I packed a small bag, laptop, charger, 3 changes of clothes, printed documents in a manila folder. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Just sent an email to my boss saying I needed a few personal days. Family emergency. Technically true. The drive took 6 hours. I stopped once for gas and coffee. Listened to a podcast about structural engineering failures. Appropriate. The resort spread along white sand, each bungalow separated by palms and decorative fencing. Upscale. Quiet. The kind of place you see in travel magazines with couples holding hands at sunset. Bungalow 23 had lights on when I arrived at 8 p.m. I could see movement through the gauzy curtains. 2 silhouettes, one smaller, gesturing with her hands the way Melissa does when she's explaining something. One standing still, drinking. I printed the divorce papers myself that afternoon before I left. Standard template. I'd already sent the real filing to my lawyer, but these were for effect. I added a yellow sticky note. Sign here for expedited processing. I walked up to Bungalow 23. The door had a small covered entryway with decorative glass panels on either side. I slid the envelope under the door and stepped back, positioning myself where I could see the reflection in the glass. The door opened within 30 seconds. Melissa stood there in a white resort robe, hair wet from the shower. Behind her, Andrew wore an airline shirt with epaulets, holding a wine glass. Red wine. Probably the expensive stuff from the champagne service charge. Her face went white, actually lost color. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. My phone lit up in my pocket. I pulled it out. Call from Melissa. I declined it. The phone rang again, immediately. Again. Again. I stood there in the pathway, watching her through the glass reflection, declining every call. She was screaming something. I couldn't hear it clearly. Andrew grabbed her shoulder, trying to pull her back inside. My phone kept ringing, 39 times total before I blocked her number. I walked back to Bungalow 24, 50 feet away, and opened a beer from the mini fridge. Sat on the balcony, listened to the ocean, listened to the muffled shouting from next door. I didn't sleep, didn't really try. I sat on the balcony with my laptop and built the case the way I'd build a project report. Evidence isn't dramatic. It's not like the movies where someone finds a love letter or catches people in the act. Real evidence is tedious. It's cross-referencing transaction timestamps with GPS data. It's reading the fine print on loyalty programs and shared accounts. It's clicking through PDFs at 3 a.m. with a notepad and a calculator. Melissa used our joint credit card for the resort. She added Andrew as a guest on the reservation. That triggered an extra guest fee, automatically billed. That email copied to our shared iPad. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder. Her Instagram post from Dad's porch showed a wooden railing in the background. White paint, decorative cutout pattern. I pulled up the resort's website and clicked through the photo gallery. Same railing, same terracotta tiles on the floor, same potted palm in the corner. She'd taken the photo on the bungalow patio and lied about the location. Sloppy. The kind of detail that fails an inspection. Andrew's flight schedule was public information through the airline's crew portal. I'd looked it up months ago when Melissa first mentioned meeting her friend. Just curious, not suspicious yet. He landed in Gulf Coast on Sunday at 6 p.m. His next scheduled shift, Friday morning, departing at 9 a.m. 72-hour layover. 3 full days. Melissa withdrew $800 cash from our joint account on Monday morning. ATM receipt in my email. We had alerts set up for transactions over 500. The ATM was located 2 miles from the resort at a shopping plaza. I pulled up Google Maps, checked the distance, cross-referenced the timestamp. She'd withdrawn the money at 10:23 a.m. Posted her Dad's kitchen Instagram photo at 10:45 a.m. Timeline didn't match. I forwarded everything to my personal email. Then I forwarded it to my lawyer with a note. Initial evidence package, more to follow. At 6 a.m, my phone buzzed. Text from Kelsey. She worked in procurement at my firm, sat 2 desks over, had a gift for cutting through corporate nonsense, and a sharper sense of humor than anyone I'd ever met. You good? Heard you took personal days. Went to Florida, I typed back. Vacation? Reconnaissance? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Oh, hell. What did she do? Couples retreat, without me. Yikes, need bail money? Not yet. Keep me posted. I'll bring cigarettes and a file baked in a cake if needed. I smiled for the first time in 4 days. I showered, shaved, put on clean clothes, walked to the resort's main building. The bar opened at 10 a.m, vacation hours. I ordered coffee and a croissant and sat at a table on the patio with a clear view of the pathway from the bungalows. Melissa appeared first, around 10:30. Sunglasses, sundress, sandals, hair pulled back, trying to look casual, like she was just another guest enjoying her morning. She scanned the patio, looking for someone, and froze when she saw me. I raised my coffee mug in a small salute. She turned immediately and walked fast back toward the bungalows, her sandals slapping against the stone path. 2 minutes later, Andrew came out. No uniform now. Navy polo shirt, khaki shorts, deck shoes, jaw tight. He scanned the patio, spotted me, and walked directly over. He stopped at my table and stood there, hands on his hips. "We need to talk," he said. "I'm listening. This is between you and Melissa." "Then why are you here?" "Because she's upset. I delivered legal documents. That's not a crime. You ambushed her. I informed her of divorce proceedings. There's a difference. You're harassing her." I set down my coffee carefully, looked up at him. "I filed for divorce. She's at a couples resort with you. I think the harassment flows the other way, don't you?" "You don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app, turned the screen toward him. "Joint account, $800 withdrawn Monday morning. Resort charge Sunday night, $470. Champagne service charge, $120. Your name on the guest registry as additional occupant. I know exactly what I'm talking about." His neck flushed red. The kind of color that spreads when someone realizes they've been caught. "You can't just—" "I can. I did. She signed for the papers. It's done. My lawyer has everything." He leaned forward, putting his hands on my table. "You think you're smart?" "I think I'm thorough. There's a difference. You're a petty little man playing games. I'm a project manager closing out a failed project. This is just documentation." He shoved my shoulder. Not hard, just enough to make a point. The kind of shove you give someone in a parking lot argument. I stood up slowly, didn't shove back, just looked at him. "You fly planes but can't handle turbulence?" I said. "Screw you." A security guard was already moving toward us from the main building. Resort policy, probably. They watch for confrontations. The guard stepped between us. "Young guy," name tag, said Marcus. "Gentlemen, let's keep it civil." "I'm civil," I said. "Just having coffee." Andrew pointed at me. "This guy is harassing my—" He stopped. Didn't finish the sentence. Because what was Melissa to him? His girlfriend? His affair? His vacation buddy? The guard looked at both of us. "I'm going to ask you both to separate. Enjoy your stay, keep the peace." Andrew walked off fast, back toward the bungalows. I sat down and finished my coffee, added cream this time. It was getting cold. That night I heard them through the thin walls of the bungalows. Raised voices. Melissa's crying. That specific pitch she gets when she's trying to make someone feel guilty. Andrew's tone sharp and defensive. Something shattered. Glass, maybe a bottle. Then silence for a while. Then more arguing. I opened my laptop and started drafting the next phase. Kelsey texted, "Status report? Phase 1, complete. Moving to Phase 2. You're terrifying. I'm efficient." Same thing. Friday morning at 8 a.m., I called the bank. Asked to speak to the branch manager I'd worked with when we opened the joint account 4 years ago. Nice woman named Patricia. "I need to freeze the joint account," I said. "Divorce proceedings. I'm one of the account holders." "I'm sorry to hear that," she said. Sounded genuine. "I'll need you to come in and fill out some paperwork. I'm out of town. Can I email the forms?" "Let me see what I can do." She called back 20 minutes later. "I can freeze it temporarily pending your signature. You'll need to come in within 5 business days." "Perfect." The joint account locked at 9:15 a.m. I called our mortgage company next, explained the situation, suspended automatic payments from the joint account, redirected them to my personal account. Legal, documented, clean. Then I opened my email and drafted 3 messages, short, professional. To Melissa's 3 biggest clients, interior design projects she was managing, 2 residential renovations, and 1 commercial office redesign. Due to personal circumstances, please route all future payments and communications through me as the primary account holder for Anderson Financial Matters. This ensures continuity of service during a transitional period. Subtext clear to anyone reading between the lines. She's unreliable right now. I'm the stable one. 2 clients responded within an hour. "Is everything okay?" And, "Hope you're both doing well." I replied to both. "We're separating. I want to make sure her business obligations are handled properly and clients aren't affected." Translation, I'm the professional. She's the chaos. By noon, Melissa was in the resort lobby. I was having lunch in the resort restaurant, positioned where I could see through the glass partition. She was at the front desk, phone in hand, voice rising, gesturing at the clerk. The clerk's expression stayed neutral but firm, that customer service mask that never cracks. Ma'am, the credit card on file was declined. We'll need alternative payment for the extended stay. That's impossible. Run it again. I've run it 3 times. All declined. This is ridiculous. There's money in that account. Your husband checked into Bungalow 24 and paid in full for his stay. Would you like me to transfer the charges to him? Melissa's face went crimson. She looked around the lobby, probably checking who was listening. A couple near the concierge desk glanced over. An older woman by the magazine rack looked up from her phone. Melissa saw me through the glass. Our eyes met. I waved. Small gesture. Friendly. She grabbed her phone and stormed toward the exit. Andrew found me an hour later in the parking garage. I was doing a routine inspection of my car, checking tire pressure, looking for dings or scratches. The kind of thing I do every week. Habit from managing construction sites where equipment gets damaged and people try to hide it. He parked 3 spaces down in a silver Camry. Rental car, probably. Got out fast and walked toward me. You froze her accounts? Joint account. My name's on it too. 50% mine. That's financial abuse. That's asset protection during divorce proceedings. Talk to a lawyer if you're confused about the law. He stepped closer. Invaded my space. That aggressive posture guys use when they're trying to intimidate. You're a petty little man. I'm a project manager. I identify risks and mitigate them. You're a risk. She's a liability. I'm mitigating both. You think this is funny? I think it's efficient. Funny would be if I was enjoying it. I'm just completing tasks. He grabbed my shirt collar with his right hand, twisted the fabric. His face was 6 inches from mine. I could smell coffee on his breath. I didn't resist, didn't push back, just looked at him. Security cameras, I said calmly, nodding toward the corner of the garage. The incident's on tape. Want to explain that to your employer? Airlines don't look kindly on aggressive behavior, FAA regulations and all. He let go, stepped back. His hand was shaking slightly. You scratched my car last week, I said. Parking lot at the grocery store on Thursday. You were there with Melissa. You backed out too fast and scraped my driver's side door. White paint transfer on your rear bumper. You didn't think I'd notice. I didn't. I held up my phone, showed him the photo. His rental car parked crooked, rear bumper aligned with the fresh scrape on my car door. Timestamp visible. I've already filed a property damage claim with your rental company and my insurance. You'll get the paperwork. Should be about $800 in damages. His mouth opened, closed. He looked like a pilot who just realized he's lost altitude and doesn't know why. I got in my car, started the engine, and backed out slowly, left him standing there in the garage. Kelsey texted that evening. You're terrifying when you're calm. I'm always calm. That's what makes it terrifying. You're like a horror movie villain who doesn't run. I prefer to think of myself as efficient. Same energy. Saturday morning, I woke up early and drove to the marina. Not the resort's private dock, the public one 3 miles south. I needed to rent equipment. The marina office smelled like fish and diesel fuel. A sunburned guy in his 50s sat behind the counter reading a fishing magazine. Help you? Need to rent a jet ski. Few hours. You certified? Yeah. I showed him my boating safety card. I'd taken the course 3 years ago when Melissa wanted to rent a pontoon boat for her birthday. Never used it after that day. 120 for 3 hours. Deposits $200. Damage waivers another $40. I paid cash. He walked me to the dock and pointed at a blue and white Yamaha. Keep it under 40 in the inlet. Harbor Patrol will ticket you. Got it. I'd seen Melissa's Instagram post that morning. She'd made it public again, probably out of spite, wanting to show she was fine, living her best life. Photo of her and Andrew loading boxes onto a boat. Caption: moving day, fresh starts. Geotag: Pelican Point Marina. That's where I went. I idled into Pelican Point at 10:15 a.m., stayed near the fuel dock where I could see the slips. Melissa and Andrew were loading a 22-foot cruiser, white with blue trim, boxes stacked on the deck. She was wearing yoga pants and a tank top. He was in board shorts and a t-shirt. They loaded for 30 minutes. I counted 8 boxes. Her design inventory, probably. Fabric samples, furniture catalogs, client files, jointly owned business assets that she was trying to move without documentation. The boat pulled out at 10:50 a.m., headed toward the inlet, probably going to a friend's dock somewhere up the coast. Out of jurisdiction. Hard to track. I gave them a 2-minute head start, then I opened the throttle. The Gulf was choppy that morning, small craft advisory. The jet ski bounced hard over the waves, spray in my face, wind loud enough to drown out thought. I cut across the inlet at an angle, engine screaming, closing the distance. The cruiser saw me coming. I watched Andrew look back, saw him point, saw the boat start to turn. Too slow, too heavy. I circled them, once at 20 yards, then 15, then 10. Close enough that my wake rocked their boat. Boxes shifted on the deck. Melissa screamed something I couldn't hear over the engines. Andrew leaned over the rail, one hand on the wheel, one hand pointing at me, yelling, face red. I waved. Big friendly wave, circled again. A harbor patrol boat appeared from the north, orange and white, blue lights flashing. I'd expected that. Public waterway, aggressive operation. They'd investigate. I slowed and idled. The patrol boat pulled alongside Andrew's cruiser first. The officer was a woman in her 40s, sunglasses and a blue windbreaker. She spoke to Andrew for 2 minutes. He was pointing at me, gesturing wildly. Then she motored over to me. "Cut your engine," she said. I did. "What's going on here?" "Property dispute," I said. "Those boxes on that boat contain jointly owned assets. I'm documenting their movement during active divorce proceedings." "You stalking them?" "I'm protecting my interests. They're moving property without mutual consent." She looked back at the cruiser, at Melissa and Andrew, at the boxes. "This guy's harassing us," Andrew shouted across the water. "This woman is illegally moving jointly owned business property without consent during active divorce proceedings," I said calmly. "I'm not harassing, I'm documenting. I have photos, timestamps, and GPS data." The officer looked between us, sighed. The sigh of someone who deals with domestic disputes on the water and hates it. "Everyone back to the marina. Sort this out on land. I don't want to see anyone operating recklessly out here again, or I'll write citations." We went back. Slow procession. Patrol boat leading, cruiser following, me trailing behind on the jet ski. At the dock, Melissa tried to move the boxes fast. Andrew was helping her, carrying 2 at a time toward the parking lot, but one of the boxes was water damaged from the spray. The bottom gave out. Contents spilled onto the dock, fabric samples, binders, a laptop. Melissa lunged for the laptop. It slid, fell into the water between the dock and the boat. She screamed, actually screamed, hands in her hair. The laptop floated for 3 seconds and sank. A small crowd had gathered. Marina staff, other boaters, weekend fishermen, people with phones out, some recording. The dockmaster approached with a clipboard, gray beard, captain's hat, the weathered look of someone who's spent 40 years on the water. "You're responsible for cleanup and any environmental contamination," he said to Melissa. "Electronics in the water, leaked fluids. Here's the invoice for hazmat response." He handed her the clipboard. She stared at it. $570. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the pen. I returned the jet ski, got my deposit back, drove to a diner and had lunch, ordered a burger and fries. Kelsey called while I was eating. "Where are you?" "Florida still." "What did you do now?" "Waterborne asset recovery." That sounds either very legal or very illegal. "Very legal." Very wet. You're having fun. I'm being thorough. You're having fun being thorough. I can hear it in your voice. Maybe I was. Sunday morning, I didn't go to the resort. I went to Andrew's apartment complex. I'd pulled his address from the crew portal, publicly listed for emergency contact purposes. 3rd floor, Building C, corner unit with a balcony overlooking the parking lot. I waited by the elevator at 8:45 a.m., Sunday morning. Quiet, most people still asleep or at church or having brunch. Andrew came back at 9:10. He looked exhausted, rumpled clothes, coffee cup in hand, overnight bag over his shoulder. He saw me and stopped 3 feet from the elevator. How did you find public records? You're not hard to find when you don't cover your tracks. If you're here to threaten me, I'm here to clarify something. He looked around. No one else in the hallway. He shifted his weight, calculating whether to run or fight or call someone. I slapped him. Once. Open palm across his left cheek. Sharp crack in the quiet hallway. His head snapped sideways. The coffee cup fell. Lid popped off. Brown liquid spread across the tile. He staggered back against the wall. Put his hand to his face. Stared at me. That's for the marriage, I said. Everything else goes through paperwork. Insurance claims, civil suits, divorce proceedings. I'm not an aggressive person. But I wanted you to know there's a human being on the other side of all those documents you've been ignoring. He didn't swing back. Didn't call for help. Didn't move. I walked past him to the elevator. Pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. You're going to lose, he said. His voice was hoarse. I've already won. You just haven't realized it yet. The doors closed. I drove back to the resort, checked out of Bungalow 24. The clerk smiled and asked if I'd enjoyed my stay. I said it was productive. She looked confused but processed my checkout anyway. I drove home, 6 hours, stopped for gas once, listened to a podcast about project management best practices. Monday morning I was back at my desk. Kelsey brought me coffee. You look rested, she said. I am. How'd it go? Clean. What does that mean? It means I didn't break anything I can't afford to replace. She stared at me, shook her head, walked back to her desk. That afternoon, Andrew received an email from his airline's HR department. I didn't see it, but Melissa posted about it on her private Instagram, still hadn't blocked me from that account. Screenshot of Andrew staring at his laptop, caption, Worst Monday ever. The email, Behavior Review Meeting, scheduled for Wednesday. Anonymous complaint regarding conduct unbecoming of a uniformed officer. Security footage from the resort garage showing physical confrontation with a guest. Pending investigation. I didn't file the complaint. But the resort probably did after Andrew grabbed my shirt. Cameras don't lie. Policies don't bend. Tuesday I got a call from my lawyer. Melissa's attorney wants to talk settlement. What are they offering? Split everything 50-50. She keeps her business assets, you keep yours. Clean separation. Counter offer. I keep the house, the car, and 70% of the joint savings. She can have her business assets and her dignity if she can find it. That's aggressive. That's fair. She committed adultery, moved assets without consent, and violated the terms of our joint financial agreements. I have documentation for all of it. I'll present it. Wednesday morning, Melissa's lawyer called my lawyer back. They rejected the counteroffer. Wanted mediation. I declined mediation. Told my lawyer to proceed with contested divorce. Full documentation. Full discovery. Make it expensive for her. Thursday, I received a voicemail from Andrew. His voice was tight, strained, the sound of someone who hasn't slept. We need to meet, face to face. Settle this like adults. I texted back, Resort Garage, Saturday, noon, final discussion. He replied after 10 minutes, fine. I made reservations. Not at the resort, at the parking structure service bay. The resort rented them to guests with expensive vehicles or motorcycles who wanted secure storage. Private, locked, climate-controlled, $50 a day. I rented Bay 7 for Saturday. Friday, I drove back to Florida. Third trip in 2 weeks. Kelsey texted, "You're commuting to your divorce, that's dedication. It's closing out the project properly." You're insane. I'm thorough. I arrived Friday evening, checked into a Holiday Inn 3 miles from the resort. Cheaper, no memories. Saturday morning, I went to the resort at 11 a.m., drove straight to the parking structure. Bay 7 was on the 3rd level. Private entrance, keycard access. Andrew's motorcycle was already there. Black Ducati, glossy paint, chrome exhaust, probably cost $15,000. He'd ridden it to the resort, parked it in the secure bay for the weekend. I'd checked with the garage manager that morning, confirmed Andrew had rented the bay Thursday through Monday. Gave me the access code for an emergency inspection. Told him I was Andrew's brother, needed to check on the bike. He didn't verify. People rarely do. I filed a safety violation report with the parking structure management. The motorcycle was parked 4 inches over the designated line, technically in the walkway. Valid complaint. The manager agreed to keep the bay locked until it was resolved. Protocol. Andrew showed up at noon exactly. Melissa was with him. Both looked tired. Andrew in jeans and a black t-shirt. Melissa in leggings and an oversized sweater. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. I'd never seen her without makeup in public. "Where's my bike?" Andrew said. "Secured. Safety violation. You parked it outside the designated area." "That's garbage. That's parking structure policy. Paragraph 7, Section C, walkway obstruction." "You did this." "I reported it. Management secured it. Take it up with them." Melissa looked around the garage. Empty except for us. Concrete and shadows. "What is this, Cole? What do you want?" I walked to the bike and laid papers on the seat. Spread them out carefully, like a presentation. Resort bills. $800 in cash withdrawals. Uber receipts. Flight records showing your boyfriend's schedule. Instagram geotags proving you lied about Nebraska. Everything documented, time-stamped, cross-referenced. She stared at the papers. Her hands were shaking. "You can't prove anything," she said, but her voice had no conviction. "I can. I did. My lawyer has 3 copies. The bank has copies. Your clients have been notified. Everyone who needs to know knows." I pointed to each document. Timeline here. Locations here. Financial transactions here. You were never in Nebraska. Your father confirmed it when my lawyer called him Tuesday. He hadn't heard from you in 6 weeks. Her face went white. Andrew stepped forward, put himself between me and the papers. "This is harassment. You're obsessed. This is divorce court preparation, discovery phase. Everything here is admissible. My lawyer says we have grounds for adultery, financial misconduct, and breach of fiduciary duty on the joint accounts." "You're pathetic." I pulled out my phone, opened a video file, turned to the service bay's wall-mounted screen. They have them for reviewing security footage. Paired my phone via Bluetooth, projected the video, silent footage, Andrew in his pilot uniform, resort bar, champagne glass in hand, Melissa next to him, laughing. Timestamp, Sunday, 7:15 p.m. Date visible. The video played for 30 seconds, the 2 of them toasting, kissing, his hand on her waist. 2 resort maintenance workers walked past the bay entrance, slowed, looked at the screen, kept walking. Andrew lunged for the screen. I stepped in front of him. "Touch it, and this goes to your HR department, along with the garage assault footage and the marina harassment report. Airlines take a comprehensive view of employee conduct, especially when it involves multiple incidents." He froze, breathing hard. Melissa hissed, "You can't do this. This is private." "This is a public resort with security cameras. No expectation of privacy in common areas. Basic law." I placed more papers on the motorcycle tank. Property damage claim from the grocery store. Resort penalty fees for the extended stay she couldn't pay for. Unpaid invoices from her clients. 3 of them had canceled and demanded refunds after I notified them of the separation. Andrew grabbed the papers, crumpled them, threw them across the bay. You think you're so smart? You think this makes you the winner? I think I'm thorough. Winning is just a side effect. He reached for the motorcycle, grabbed the handlebars. I'm taking my bike and leaving. You can't stop me. I walked to the wall panel, hit the service bay control. The hydraulic lift under the motorcycle groaned, started lowering. What are you doing? Melissa screamed. Releasing the safety hold. Management said once the vehicle owner acknowledges the violation, the lift can be lowered and he can move it himself. You just acknowledged it. The lift descended slowly. 6 inches, 12 inches. The motorcycle's weight shifted. Andrew grabbed the handlebars with both hands, trying to stabilize it, but the angle was wrong. The rear wheel was on the lowering platform, the front wheel on solid ground. Physics took over. The motorcycle tipped sideways, crashed onto the concrete. The sound echoed through the parking structure. Metal on concrete, glass shattering, fluids spreading. Andrew stood there, staring, his hands still in the air where the handlebars had been. The Ducati lay on its side, gas tank dented, both mirrors shattered, brake lever snapped, engine casing cracked, oil pooling. Melissa put her hands over her mouth. Silence, just the sound of liquid dripping, the parking structure's ventilation humming. I walked toward the exit, stopped, looked back over my shoulder at both of them. Bungalow 23's vacant, I said. Checkout was 2 hours ago. They're charging you for another night. I walked out. The echo of the crash followed me down the ramp, into the sunlight, into the parking lot. I got in my car and drove away.